Looks like we're live. Hi, hello. Great to connect with you. Thanks for hanging out with me live. If you're here, drop where you're tuning in from. One of the reasons I wanted to jump on live right now is to let you all know that literally tomorrow I'm running a free masterclass. Now, this is a new masterclass that I've put together. I've got an old masterclass, which is called Unlock Your Voice, Unlock Your Potential. I've created a brand new masterclass, which is called Conversational Mastery, where I teach you 3 frameworks to help you improve your ability to have conversations. If you don't want to get stuck in awkward silences, you want to better answer questions on the spot, you want to be able to learn how to connect with others and build rapport more quickly, then I teach 3 powerful conversational frameworks. And if you want to come along, the link is in the description. You should be able to find the link in the description. And hi, everyone. Good to see you all. People are flooding in now, and great to see you. I can see you there on YouTube, Ben. I can see you there, Age, Yusuf. Great to see you all. Thanks for jumping on and hanging out with me. This is going to be fun. I wanted to create this bit of a Q&A session so we can talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. You know, I think it's nice to be able to connect with people live. You know what's really interesting? I see people joining on Facebook as well. Hey, Chris, good to see you. Hello, Connor. Hello. Hey, be seen. Oh my goodness, I haven't connected with you in a minute. Thank you so much for continually being so supportive. I just saw your name come up there. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. And good morning to you all too. We've got Mohammed from Facebook joining as well. A lot of people streaming in slowly. Yes, the Conversational Masterclass is free, and I've got the link there if you want to register. Hey, look, as I was saying before, I think it's important sometimes to connect and be able to do so live. It's so crazy. Every time I run my free masterclasses, people always accuse me of, oh, this is pre-recorded. This isn't actually live. And I know that some people do that. We don't here at Stage. We are always live when we say we're live. And if we're not live, you'll know. Like when you watch my reels, obviously they're not live. Now, what's interesting is one of the reasons why people think that it's a pre-record, it's because I don't really use any non-words or filler words. And when they watch me deliver the content, they go, oh, it's too polished. It must be pre-recorded. And it's interesting because I was sitting down talking to my team and they're like, oh, Vin, it kind of seems too perfectly done. And one of the reasons for that, and I know this seems like I'm patting myself on the back, it's disgusting. I'll do it anyway. It's because I'm really well rehearsed. I put a lot of time and effort into my masterclasses. I want to be able to add as much value as possible per minute. And that's why I really hone in on my delivery to the point where people accuse me of it being pre-recorded, which I thought was quite funny. And it just lets you know that you're able to master your communication skills to that level. It's possible. Far out, when I reflect on my journey, I can't believe that I've been able to get to where I am in terms of my communication ability. And the reality is, you sitting there right now, you can too. You totally can as well. All right. Let me jump into the Q&A. Let me look into some of the questions I can see in the chat now. Okay. All right. Here we go. Hey, Vins. Vins has the same name as me. Hey, thanks for being a big fan. And if you just joined, welcome. Thanks for jumping on and connecting. Hey, Trevor, midnight in Texas. Thanks for jumping on. We've got Jerry from Malaysia. Oh, lots of love to my Malaysian family. My wife's Malaysian. I love it. All right, let me have a look here. Let me jump into the questions here and drop a comment, drop a question. Let's engage. Let's connect with each other. Some people from LinkedIn too. Hey, Gilbert joining from LinkedIn. Hello. Thank you for jumping on. I'm just reading some of the questions here. I got this funny question here. Question is, Vin, why do government officials always use filler words? You know, it's an interesting question because a lot of the times people who have to communicate often publicly, they're actually not trained professionally. They're not. They are professionals at what they do. So, for example, an engineer that is called upon to speak publicly, they are an expert as an engineer, but they just haven't spent the time mastering the art of communication and public speaking. And the reason why? Well, it's difficult. It's difficult. And another reason why was because during our whole education process, when you think about high school, primary school, university, any form of education as an adult, we don't really prioritize the importance of communication skills. We just don't. We don't. Think about school. You have one project a year based around presentation skills. One. And for that one project you have for the entire year, what do? Oh, I'm sick. I've got a stomachache. I can't do it. And then you miss out on the one chance you have to practice per year. Yet when you grow up and you live in the real world, you start to realize, far out, I need to use my voice on a daily basis. I'm talking to customers, clients every single day. I'm talking to my family members, my friends every single day. Yet I don't get taught how to really master this skill set at all, which to me should be a crime. It's crazy. There's the expectation that everybody should be good at communication, but where do we get the support? Where do we get the training? And that's why I really felt inspired to start teaching this skill set, because I just started to see a lot of my students, a lot of people in general that aren't even my students, I see them miss out on so many opportunities. You know, the classic one that's really tragic is I've had friends who are technically amazing at what they do. They're technically incredible with their skill. And they go into the job interview and they fail the job interview. And they don't realize that. And when they leave that job interview, they say, oh, I didn't get it, maybe because I wasn't qualified enough. And the reality is, if you got to the job interview component, you are qualified enough. It means that your CV, your resume showed and proved that you are qualified enough. The reason you didn't get it, it's not so much because you weren't qualified. Often it's because, and this is a little harsh, often it's when they met you in the job interview, they just didn't connect with you. They didn't like you as much. They didn't feel a sense of rapport with you. They didn't feel you're going to be a good fit. So much of that comes down to your ability to communicate. So much of it comes down to your ability to communicate. That's why it's so critical to work on this skill set. Otherwise, you'll keep going through life missing out on opportunities, right? And it's one of the reasons I felt so compelled to teach it. And I love that you asked that question there, Bandana, about why are politicians so bad at communication? It's because they don't invest time into improving that skill set. That's the simple answer. Why are certain industries so bad at public speaking? Well, again, it's just because those people are choosing not to invest in the skill. And the crazy thing about this skill set is once you invest in it, it serves you for the remainder of your life. And the reality of the situation is the earlier you master this skill set, the longer it's going to serve you. So you could wait until you're 50. Sure. Average person lives to 80. So then it only gets to serve you for 30 years. And when you improve your communication skills, it opens up so many doors of opportunity. It opens up doors to new friendships. It opens up doors of opportunities in your work life. It opens up doors of opportunity in your personal life. So you could just benefit from it for 30 years if you wait until you're 50. But why? I think it's so critical to start mastering this skill set much earlier. I wish I mastered this skill set in my early 20s. It took me until my early 30s before I was able to really harness this ability and use it to open many doors of opportunities in my life. Thanks for letting me rant on that. I think it's a very important thing. I'm very biased, obviously. Let's have a look at some more of the questions here. Hey, Christina. Hello, Fess. Thank you for jumping on. Thanks for joining us for the live stream. Hey, we got some fans from India. Hello. All right, I'm just going to be looking at some of the questions here. A lot of people joining us from many different platforms. So good to have you. There's a whole bunch of you here now. And hey, it's so good to be able to connect and sit here and hang out live together. I love it. I love the live energy, right? Someone from LinkedIn. Hey, good to see you there. Prajesh, thanks for the love. Thanks for jumping on. Appreciate you sharing some kind words. Let's look here. There's so many. I'm reading some of the comments here just to look for some of the questions. Here, I got a question from Jessica. Question from Jessica here. Jessica asks, "Hey Vin, I feel like I get steamrolled and often overlooked in a group with in work settings. What should I do?" Again, let me read that again. Vin, I often feel steamrolled and often get overlooked in group settings. What should I do? Jessica, one of the reasons why people steamroll us or they overlook us is because we don't have presence. And you'll hear people use this in the corporate space a lot where they'll say executive presence. And what they mean by that, if you break it down, there's two components of presence. There's auditory presence or vocal presence, right? And then there's also visual presence or physical presence. Now, the two categories, let's just call it vocal presence and physical presence. Let's keep it simple. Now, vocal presence, it's how you use your voice, right? So right now, the way that I'm currently communicating, I've got very strong levels of vocal presence. Now, what happens if I drop that off? I can drop it off, right? The way I used to speak about 15 years ago, I had no vocal presence. So I'll give you a bit of a sense of that. So if I was speaking with no vocal presence, it will sound like this. Hi, everyone. Hey, thanks for having me in the group. I'm really excited to be here, and I am really happy to contribute some of my ideas. And I hope that you'll be able to take some of these ideas and use them in your projects. And the moment I speak like that, I have very little vocal presence. And then what's visual presence? What's physical presence? That's me using my body language. And the bigger I play with my body language, the more visual and physical presence that I have. And when you enter a conversation or when you enter a meeting setting and you've got both vocal presence and physical presence, and you've got both, it is very difficult to talk over somebody and interrupt somebody who has very strong levels of presence because you have lots of authority. And I think the key thing that people miss out on is they they miss out on opportunities to have their ideas heard. They miss out on opportunities to create visibility for themselves. Because if you don't speak up for yourself and you don't learn how to create more authority and you don't learn how to create more of that presence, well, then you have low levels of visibility. And what that just means is, unfortunately, when it comes time to promotion, who do the managers promote? They promote the people who are the most visible, people who seem to contribute more in team meetings. They are the ones with high levels of visibility. They're the ones that get the promotions. Even if you are the one that does the majority of the work, the people who are the most visible get more of the opportunities because they're simply more visible. When it comes to, again, not being steamrolled, etc., it's important for you to now focus on your vocal presence and your physical presence. And as you improve those areas, you will have more presence overall, which will help you be able to, again, it's more difficult to interrupt someone who has strong levels of presence. All right. Cool. Great question there from Jessica. Thank you. Hey, Sophie. Sophie joining us from the Gold Coast. Thanks for jumping on. Hey, everyone. Just a quick shout out. If any of you want to join my free masterclass I'm running tomorrow, I did leave a link in the description. So hopefully you can see the link in the description. I'm not sure if it worked, but if you do see the link in the description, you'll be able to join my masterclass that I'm running on Conversational Mastery, where I teach you 3 frameworks to be able to answer questions on the spot, avoid awkward silences, and to be able to create great conversation with new people that you meet. So these 3 conversational frameworks will help you do just that. It helps you build rapport very quickly with people. And if you want to join that, just click the link. Or if you don't see a link, then you might need to go to my Instagram. And if you go to my Instagram and DM me the word chat, CHAT, my team will send you all the details for you to join. This is a bit of an exclusive masterclass that I'm running. I'm not really pushing it on any of my social media channels, just on this live if you want to come along. It's a brand new one that I've written. It's really fun. It's a jam-packed 2 hours. Hopefully you can come along. All right, let's do some more Q&A. Let's hang out. Let me have a look at some other questions here. All right. This is an interesting question. This is from Daniel. Daniel asks, hey, Vin, what do I do when I'm shaking on stage? How do I manage that? One of the main reasons why people shake on stage is because you're feeling nervous. Now, let's think about it from a almost a chemistry point of view or a biological point of view. Why do you shake when you're feeling nervous? The reason why you shake almost at a biological level is because your body is creating a lot of adrenaline. So it's producing a lot of adrenaline because your body is preparing you for fight or flight. And when people are standing in front of others on stage, their body can't distinguish that fear from, should I be running from a saber-toothed tiger or am I presenting to people? Your brain almost can't tell the difference. So it produces all this adrenaline to get you ready to fight or flight. And if you don't know how to manage that adrenaline, well, then as a result of that, you'll start shaking because excess adrenaline causes us to shake because it's like our body's getting ready to move, right? And if you don't move, well, then what does it do with all of that energy? You've got to understand that if you do feel that you do shake on stage, then what you can do fairly simply, Daniel, is that before you go on stage, manage the adrenaline. Do 10 push-ups. Go for a brisk walk for 5 minutes. Because as you do physical activity, it allows you to get rid of some of that adrenaline. It allows you to dump that adrenaline out. Whereas if you don't do some form of physical activity before you jump on stage, maybe you can do some star jumps, some jumping jacks, as they call it in the US, right? Maybe you can do some of that. And just by doing that, it releases that adrenaline, therefore causing you to shake less. And it'll just help you shake less. And if you're able to shake less, right, you're going to be able to deliver a better presentation. That's the power of learning how to manage the adrenaline. All right. Thanks for the question there, Daniel. Hey, thanks for hanging out, everyone. Hey, just want a quick shout out to Kia. Thanks for saying you're a big fan. Lots of love to you. Thank you for the kind words there. Much appreciated. Thank you. this is this is a really beautiful message here. I love this message, and the message is: Hi, Vin. How do I improve my communication when it comes to someone that I love? So how do I improve my communication when it comes to someone that I love? You know, the most important thing and the most important book you can read here, my friend, is the book called Five Love Languages. Five Love Languages. There are five different love languages, and I didn't know they existed. For example, I'll talk through my example. Okay, so my love language is words of affection. So if you want to show me love, if you share kind words with me and you say kind words to me, it makes me feel really loved. Okay, I feel really loved. Now, my wife's love language is not words of affection. My wife's love language is acts of service. So the way that my wife feels loved is when people do things for her. And it's okay. We're all allowed to have our own love languages, right? And this is the critical mistake that I made in the first few years of my marriage. Because words of affection is my love language. I thought the way to make my wife feel loved would be the same way I feel loved. So I would just use lots of words to communicate to her that I love her. But that didn't make her necessarily feel loved. What made her feel loved was me saying, "Hey, I know it's been a busy day. I know you're tired. Let me go do the dishes." So by me going to do the dishes, she feels more love from that act than me just saying the words, right? And learning this completely changed my relationship with my wife, with my friends, with my colleagues. Because once I knew what their love language was, instead of using my love language on them, I would use their love language on them, which therefore made them feel more loved and feel more cared for. So I definitely recommend go and check out that book, The Five Love Languages, and thank me later for it. It's a fantastic book, amazing. All right, let's jump onto some more of the questions. Hey, these are really really wonderful questions. I love that you're jumping onto these. All right, let's have a look through. All right, we'll try to show some love to all the different platforms. This question is interesting. So, a question from this person here says, G asks, Vin, are you Vietnamese? Yes, I'm part Vietnamese. I was born in Australia. My mum and dad are from Vietnam. And then my mum and dad's grandparents were from China. So I'm a bit of a mixed breed. I was born in Australia, so I'm an Australian, but my background is Vietnamese and Chinese. And the Chinese dialect that I learned growing up is a dialect called Dijiu. Also Dijiu Nang, Kasung Ang Ang. If you know, you know. And then I also then learned to speak Vietnamese fluently. Vinh là người Việt Nam, tuy là Vinh sinh ở nước Úc. So again, I speak those two languages fairly fluently. Vietnamese more fluently than the Chinese, but I can still speak Chinese as well. And then I also speak English. So English is actually my third language. It's my third language. And I find it quite bizarre that somehow I've managed to go from being terrible at communication skills because English was my third language to now being able to teach communication skills in English and helping so many other people from around the world. It's so cool. And that's why I really felt compelled to do what I'm doing right now. Because I can tell you now that the majority of the communication skills teachers that I've learned from in my life, a lot of them were Caucasians from the West with a Western background. And it was very rare for me to find someone who was a master at communication skills, who was someone who was of an ethnic background. So it's going to sound so cheesy, you might vomit and die, but I wanted to be the change that I wanted to see in the world. I wanted to show so many of my Asian brothers and sisters that it's possible to master this skill set. It's totally possible because I was one of the kids growing up. I just kind of went, oh man, I love this idea of becoming this keynote speaker one day, traveling around the world, speaking to these big companies. But every time I would go to these conferences, I'll never see an Asian man or an Asian woman being a speaker on stage. Very rarely would I see that. And as a result of rarely seeing it, I just thought, oh, it's not possible. I created for myself this false ceiling of, oh, that's not possible. This isn't possible, which in reality, it's not true. It's totally possible. You just have to get really good at what you do. Right. And it's just to speak to one point as well. growing up, I was told a lot about this thing called a bamboo ceiling. And the bamboo ceiling is just the words that Asians give when they say that, oh, there's a ceiling that's made for Asians, right? So they call it a bamboo ceiling to make it Asian. And I remember being told this all the time. And this was just from people within my own community. They said, oh, I know you want to be this professional keynote speaker thing, but realize, Vin, that there's a bamboo ceiling for all of us. It's not made for the Asian man, because it's for the old white Caucasian man's going to be able to be a keynote speaker, and for you it's difficult because there's a bamboo ceiling. And I just thought that was a load of nonsense. Because look, I recognize there are some times where there are prejudices, and there are, I get it, that exists, I get it. But instead of just thinking there's a bamboo ceiling and I can't push past that, I chose not to believe that. I acknowledge that, sure, maybe there is a thing called a bamboo ceiling. But you know what? I'm going to push past it, and I'm just going to believe in one philosophy. And the philosophy that I believe in is from Steve Martin: be so good they can't ignore you. I'm going to choose to use that as my North Star. I'm going to become so good that it doesn't matter if I'm Asian. It doesn't matter at the time if I had crazy white blonde hair. It doesn't matter if that I'm part magician. It doesn't matter if I don't have a degree. I'm just going to become so good at my craft that you won't be able to ignore what I do. And I found that so much more empowering, because here's the scary part as we deep dive down this rabbit hole. The scary part is the moment I hang on to one of those excuses, the moment I start to acknowledge and I start to fully accept that, oh, maybe there is a bamboo ceiling. The moment I accept that, now and I know myself, I will now use that as an excuse to not try. I'll now just use that as an excuse to go, well, I can't do it because, it's too hard for me. And there's also this thing called a bamboo ceiling, so I'm not going to do it. And that's the danger in allowing yourself to buy into some of these ideas and see them as 100% true. Because then you kind of create your own limitations, which I think is really unfortunate. And I've done that before. So anytime now I hear about these different limitations that people set in the world, and they start to say, oh, this is not possible because of this. This is not possible because of this. To me, I just really say to that, really? Is it really not possible? Or is it just hard and you don't want to try? I really believe we all create our own limitations in our own minds. We do. We just create our own limitations, and then we start to believe those limitations, and then we don't have to try, and it's easier to believe in those limitations, right? It's hard to try. I had this moment when I was traveling to Japan. I just went to Japan with my family, and I went with myself, my wife, my two kids, my daughter, my son. I also went with my cousin and their little child, and I went with another cousin of mine and their two kids. It was a super fun trip, right? But going to Japan was crazy, because we went there in the middle of the Japan summer. It was so hot in Japan, okay? And the kids were being crazy. Traveling with kids is chaotic. In the morning, right? So we wake up at 7 a.m. We're like, all right, let's head out at 8 a.m. I was foolish thinking that, because we didn't get out of the house till like 11. It took us 3 hours to prep the kids, get the pram ready, make sure we got the milk, make sure we got enough nappies, make sure we got enough diapers, make sure we got enough wet wipes. Like, it just took forever to get out of the house. And then once we got out of the house, the kids were absolutely mental. They ran everywhere, and it was like we were herding meerkats in the middle of the Japan summer. It was 35 degrees, boiling hot. Then we got lost in the subway, and we didn't know where we were going. We didn't know which train we should catch, and we were all exhausted. And in that moment where everyone was exhausted, frustrated, my wife was pissed off, my cousins were pissed off, I leaned in and I smiled and I said, this is living, guys. This is living. This is living. And it just broke the tension, and they all just laughed. And I explained to them that, you know what, guys, to live a great life is actually really hard. We could have all chosen not to go to Japan because it was too hard with all the kids. We could have all chosen just to stay home and watch Netflix and play the gaming consoles. We could have chosen to do that. No, but we didn't choose mediocrity. We didn't choose what was easy. We chose what was hard. We chose to all meet here in a different country during the middle of the summer when it was the most hot, in a country where most things are written in Japanese and we don't speak any Japanese. We chose adventure. And I want you all to remember that as hard as everything is right now, this is what we choose to do because we want to live a great life. And it just made me reflect a lot on that. Because to live a great life is actually really hard. I mean, do you know anyone that's lived a great life or is living a great life and they just go, oh, yeah, man, living a great life is easy. It's so easy. I just wake up every morning and every day is great. Every day is just great. Greatness is easy. No, greatness is one of the most difficult things and one of the most difficult paths you'll ever walk on. So now I just always remind my family. And right after that big trip in Japan, everyone was like all scared and like, oh my goodness, traveling with the kids is so hard. Right after the trip, we just got back a week ago. Just 3 days ago, I convinced all of them to book another trip to the US. And they're like, oh, Vin, but I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not going to let you be drawn to the magnetic pull of mediocrity. I'm going to continually be that person in your life that's going to push you towards greatness, to make you walk the path that is more challenging. That's where you'll get to explore and have adventures. And we had so many adventures in Japan. And why do I share this with you? I share this with all of you, a long way of saying it takes work to achieve greatness in this life. And if you and me, if we're only going to be around here for an average of 80 or so years, do you want to live an average life or a great life? And if you do want greatness, it's hard. I 100% believe it's worth it. And look, don't get me wrong. There are some days I still wake up in the morning and I do want to just Netflix and hang out. Cool. But I don't want that to be 100% of my time. I'll give myself 10 to 15% of time to do that. That's cool. But the other 85%, I want to thrive. Rant over. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. And if you connect with that, drop a message. Let me know. But yeah, so there you go. All right. Let me just take a sip of coffee. All right. I'm just going to go right down to the bottom. Just looking at some of the questions again. I love the questions you're all asking. It's so beautiful to see some of your questions, because as I read some of your questions, it then makes me think about things that I've never thought about before. And that's one of the things I love most about going live. I love the component of going live where I don't know where you're going to take me with this conversation, and we can go in any direction you want. I absolutely love it. It's so cool. It's so awesome. I love it. So thank you for the insightful questions. Thank you for asking such. Oh, wait, hang on. Give me a sec. I think I might be actually join my own lives and then send the links to people who needs them. Maybe I can do that. Let me try. Hey, I'm going to drop a link in the chat on Facebook. I just dropped the link in the chat on Facebook. Let me know if you see it. I am just dropping a link on LinkedIn, and I'm dropping a link now on YouTube. Now, the links that I'm dropping, everyone, I don't know if that works, but if that works, the links that I've just dropped, that's the link to be able to join my free conversational masterclass that I'm running tomorrow and Friday. So if you want to join, level up your conversational ability. I mean, if you look at what I'm doing now currently on this live, I'm just having a conversation with you. And if you notice me being able to converse with ease, and I'm able to converse in a way that seems fluent, coherent, and it flows, the reason I'm able to do this is because I've got frameworks that I use in my mind. And during this 2-hour masterclass that I've dropped the link for in all of the chats, I'm going to share with you the 3 frameworks that I use all the time. And once you learn this, it's going to be able to help you improve your ability to communicate. So I just dropped it in the chat there for you all. So you can check it out whenever you like. All right. Beautiful. Let's have a look at the next ones here. And oh, look at this! Look who has decided to turn up for work. It's Dan. Hey, Dan. Good to see you, brother. We're just live on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. Say hello. Why do you seem so awkward doing that? Get back to work, Dan. Back to work, mate. That's slacker. Comes in at 3 p.m. No. The reason why he's in at 3 p.m. is we are currently burning the midnight candle. We're running our full week of virtual masterclasses. And right now we are running classes from 11 p.m. to basically 2 a.m. That's our life right now. That's okay. It's only for a week. All right. Let me just jump into the Q&A section again. Okay, let's have a look here. Hey, a lot of people recognize Dan. A lot of people are like, Dan, hello, Dan, hello. Oh, so many people. Dan, you're such a superstar now, bro. Got so many fans. But let's be honest, I still got more than him, obviously. I think he has like what, 1,000 followers? Maybe less, he says. That's okay. It's not the number of followers, Dan. It's the quality of followers, which I still beat him on anyway. So it doesn't even matter. Yeah, I thought I'd give him an out, and then you shut down the out. Uh, you know what though? I do follow Dan, so he kind of wins on that one, I think, because I can't follow myself. That's why. Oh gosh, that's so arrogant. Makes me sick. All right, let's jump on a couple more questions here. Hmm. Oh, okay. So this is a good question here. Question from Zane. Zane's got a question, and Zane's question essentially asks, "Hey Vin, how do I deal with procrastination?" Right? And look, I'm not a procrastination expert. I'm really good at procrastinating, but I'm not that great at teaching people how to minimize the procrastination. I do have some thoughts on it though, so please understand this is outside of my area of expertise, but we can jam on this. I find that one of the key reasons why we procrastinate is because we don't have clarity. When you are not clear on what it is that you should be doing, as a result of the lack of clarity, then you procrastinate. So if you wake up on a Tuesday, like you woke up this morning on a Wednesday, and you kind of went, "Oh, I'm not really sure what I should be doing today." Oh, since I'm not sure, let's have a quick look and scroll through Instagram, and then Instagram hooks you for 30 minutes, and you're like, "Oh, no, damn it! I got to stop procrastinating." Okay, what should I be doing? Maybe I'll start with some emails. Well, I don't see what's happening on TikTok. So, as you can see from that example, one of the main reasons why we procrastinate is because we don't have clarity. So, when it comes to my own schedule, I have a lot of clarity. I've got clarity from a strategic point of view of how I'm going to run my business, right? I've got an online course teaching communication skills. I teach virtual classes, I teach in person classes. So, again, I've just got my strategy for the year mapped out. And I spend a whole week to nearly a week and a half at the beginning of every year mapping out my strategy for the year. So, once I get really clear on the strategy, then now I kind of work out, well, what am I focusing on each month? And then by being able to break things down to a monthly basis, I even break things down to a weekly basis because my diary, if you look at it, it's all kind of curated based on the high level strategy broken down to the smaller steps. And by having that level of clarity, I just wake up, I look at my list and I've got the things I need to do. I don't procrastinate. I just do the thing I need to do. Right? Last night I had a block in my diary that said sleep at 6 p.m. So instead of procrastinating, I just all right, put the kids put help my wife bathe the kids. Once that was done, it was about 6:15. Then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm just going to go straight to bed. So I went straight to bed because I knew I had to wake up at 9 p.m. after 3 hours later to prepare to deliver my class. Long and the short of it, the less clarity you have with what you want to do with your life, the less clarity you have on your particular goals for this quarter, for this 6 months, for this year, the less clarity you have on those things, the more you're going to procrastinate. I think clarity is also linked directly to inspiration and motivation. If you're clear on what it is that you want, you're going to feel more inspired to go do the thing you need to do. But if you don't know what it is that you want and you don't even have these goals set, well, then you have no clarity. And then the lack of clarity leads to a lack of motivation, a lack of inspiration, which I think is really unfortunate. I think clarity is the ultimate solution to a lack of inspiration, a lack of motivation, and procrastination. I really think clarity is that silver bullet. All right. Let me jump back into the Q&A here. Oh, look at this. This question here is, oh, there's a lot of questions streaming through. I'm just looking at, I think we're getting a little bit of spam as well. It's okay. Yeah, what Alyssa just mentioned as well is really powerful, right? She goes, easy to say, hard to do in terms of clarity. You're absolutely right. It's hard to do. That's why most people don't do it. And to be able to be clear on what it is that you want takes a lot of work. That's why at the beginning of the year, it takes me 7 to 10 days to sit down and really think my thoughts. One of the things that has helped me is journaling, right? Because after I've started journaling, and at this point in my life, I only do it maybe 3 times a week, 2 times a week. But when I start to write and journal, it really allows me to reflect on my life. Journaling to me is just the art of reflection and looking at how you're currently living and going, do you like the way you're living? If you don't, well, there's things that you can change. And when you start to collect a whole year's worth of that, and then you do a review at the beginning of the year, that gives you really accurate data on how you've lived the last year. It allows you to find themes and it allows you to find patterns in your way of thinking. It allows you to find themes that make you unhappy, themes that make you happy. So it's like you can really start to look at yourself and really understand yourself. Whereas if you're just trying to do all of that in your head and you don't write any of it down, it's chaotic. Imagine trying to work out a really complicated mathematical formula, and I didn't give you a pen and paper. I didn't give you a calculator. I just said you have to do it in your head, right? And even if it started out simple, imagine I said to you, okay, what's 7 plus 4 plus 6 plus 9 plus 15 plus 423 plus 7 minus 217, divide that by 4.5. And if I just keep talking like this, if you didn't have a pen and paper and you didn't have a calculator, good luck. You're not going to be able to solve it. To me, journaling is your ability to have a pen and paper. So you're writing these things down. And this is one of the best things that I've learned how to do in the last, I would say, just 3 months. So I now can take my journals, upload them into ChatGPT, and I can actually get ChatGPT to help me find gaps in my thinking, to help me find themes that I don't naturally see. And that's been one of the greatest unlocks in my life that has helped me with a lot more clarity. Right? But again, notice the process that I'm sharing with you. It's hard. It's also why most people don't do it. And as a result of that, most people don't gain that clarity. So it's just, how important is clarity for you? And if it's important, begin the process. And I think the simplest way to begin is just start journaling. Learn a really simple journal process. There's the bullet journal. I think that's a really simple journaling process. I wouldn't overcomplicate it. And then start to get to know yourself more. Clarity is a process where you're just starting to get to know yourself more. We know the characters of House of Dragons really well, don't we? We know the characters of Game of Thrones really well. Sometimes it's scary how well we know the characters of our favorite TV show. It's scary how well we know some of the celebrities that we feel very inspired by. We know everything about them. We know their life story. We know their childhood story. We know everything about these people, yet how much do you know yourself? And I think if you want clarity, you need to start there. It's a process of you finding the tools that helps you get to know yourself better. And as you begin that process, you'll gain more and more and more clarity. I think that's really important. Okay, cool. Thanks for that comment there. I appreciate it. It allowed us to jam down a certain rabbit hole. All right, everyone. Hey, look, I've put aside about 40 minutes to hang out with you all. The 40 minutes is about to come to an end. Hey, thank you so much for joining me for this live. And if any of you have any interest in learning how to improve your conversational ability, and you want to learn the conversational frameworks that I'm using to do these live sessions, to be able to speak in a way that's fluent, to be able to speak in the way that just flows and it seems easy, and it is easy once you learn the frameworks, then come along to my free masterclass. I'm running one tomorrow and I'm running one on Friday as well. And to be able to register, I'll drop the link in the chat again. So I'm going to first drop that link on YouTube. So dropping the link on YouTube, you can see it there. Dropping the link on my LinkedIn as well. And also dropping the link on Facebook as well, so you can see it. So just drop the link on all 3 platforms. The link to be able to join my free masterclass that I'm running is also in the description. Looking forward to seeing you there. It's going to be really fun. We're doing lots of giveaways. There's going to be over 28 giveaways, and I can't wait to have you there live. You're going to be there live to be able to experience it. We're not doing a recording. All right, everyone. Take care. Thanks for sitting and hanging out with me for the last 40 minutes. Take care. Dan, you want to wave goodbye as well? Yeah, there's a double wave from Dan. Bye, everyone. See you later. Bye.